Welcome to the Joint Multinational Readiness Center Train to Win podcast. In this podcast, Staff Sergeant Greg Stevens talks with Lieutenant Colonel Jonathan Bender, the commander of 1st Battalion 8th Cavalry Regiment, about how his Mustang soldiers performed during Combined Resolve XIII at the Hohenfels Training Center.
Combined Resolve XIII is officially wrapping up in Hohenfels, Germany on February 5th. This monumental, large-scale exercise allowed U.S. forces to demonstrate their ability to fight and win against an equally capable opponent, otherwise known as the opposing forces, or OPFOR. 17 nations participated in this multinational exercise. The American soldiers were represented by the 2nd Armored Brigade Combat Team, 1st Cavalry Division out of Fort Hood, Texas. Lieutenant Colonel Jonathan Bender, the battalion commander for 1st Battalion, 8th Cavalry Regiment, expressed many of his thoughts regarding all things Combined Resolve XIII related, from their experiences with the multinational militaries to his battlefield strategy, his soldiers and their performance, even a bit of hubris to match his OPFOR commanding counterpart, Lieutenant Colonel Kevin Ryan, who was very confident of a decisive victory from the beginning. So I asked Colonel Bender how they got past the communication barrier during CBR 13, and he replied,
"The NATO forces come with English speakers. So for NATO, English is the language. Nice for us. For the U.S., harder for them, but we were able to communicate pretty easily."
And what of the multinationals?
Overall, I was really impressed. The Polish battalion, they had a lot of combat power, actually more combat power than I did, and they were able to leverage it. They had a lot more infantry, so I think their movement was maybe a little bit more deliberate than what I'm used to as an armor officer. But I do have infantry myself, so I know when you put dismounted infantry on the ground, it's going to move a lot slower than a tank or a Bradley.
Were you worried that the 2nd Armored Brigade Combat Team was going to get rolled?
I think this battalion, maybe unlike other RAF battalions or other battalions that come through CBR, they weren't out here to lose. We didn't wake up every day at 4 o'clock in the morning and go out there to lose. So we were out there to win. We didn't win every battle, but I think you're not going to win every single battle. But I think what we did was, a lot of the times the OPFOR out here at least they try to get inside your decision cycle. How do they do that? Well, while you're trying to defend, they're going to conduct a spoiling attack. They're going to attack you, when you're not ready for it. Everybody's ready for an attack at 06 or 07 in the morning, the sun's coming up, but not everybody's ready for an attack to begin, like, let's say at 2000, 22, midnight.
Give everybody some military strategy that you guys employed out there on the battlefield during CBR 13.
For instance, in one attack, my Alpha company was in a support by fire position. Well, that support by fire position was critical because I thought that we had enemy that could potentially be on our northeastern flank as we made a turn south. And that was just through a little bit of intuition, but also the fact that we had some indicators that there was something over in an area. We didn't have any reconnaissance that could get in there because every time they got in there, they got killed. So indicator that something's bad is over there. So I put him there. I integrated fires and smoke mission to get him into place, fires to suppress, and then we had direct fires at the same time. He ended up killing, I think, about 9 tanks and 7 BMPs that were in that location. 1 tank company was able to do that. So that really created a seam for us to exploit. And while he was doing that, we ran a battalion. The whole battalion ran right off his backside. Almost, if you're in football terms, he was the left tackle, and we ran a counterplay right off of his backside, and it was successful.
Tell us what you think about your soldiers in this exercise.
Yeah, for me, it's at the individual soldier level. Every time myself or my sergeant major, I went out there, I saw soldiers that were really showing true grit. What is true grit? Well, it's when times are tough, when things are hard, they power through. I mean, and it was cold, it was wet, it was uncomfortable, and that didn't let them get them down. I mean, it was mud, sometimes up to their knees. I mean, I had, and not only just down to the individual private, but I had, for instance, captains in my plan shop wading through puddles of mud knee deep just to get the job done, to jump our talk, in which we jumped it several times. So, I mean, it's at echelon. It's every level. Everybody understands that when you're out there in the field, there is rank, of course, and we have to abide by that, and we do. But there's also, if you're part of a team, and you got to get a job done, then everybody has to pitch in, and nobody just gets to sit there on the side and do nothing. So that's what I was most proud of, because I saw everybody pitching in when it came to it. Our maintainers, our sustainers, and our riflemen, our tankers. Every single person was working out there together.
Truly a combined effort, right?
Yeah.
At Combined Resolve.
I mean, we are at Combined Resolve from a Combined Arms Battalion.
And the tough times, sir?
I remember one day, kind of at a low point where we had been penetrated by the enemy. We were able to stop them, but my TOC got hit. So I jumped from my main command post to my combat trains command post, my secondary command post. And when I got there on the ground, I needed to get a communications platform up and working. Those soldiers jumped right at it. It was cold. It was miserable. There was enemy all around, but they were putting up an OE254 antenna so I could talk. And they weren't complaining about it once. They were actually trying to do it as fast as they could in the most efficient manner. I mean, and it was under some very austere conditions. So I remember that, and I'll take that back with me, because I saw those soldiers working together for a purpose. I mean, they may not even know why the purpose was happening, but it was going to enable the battalion, and it did. I mean, that day the OP4 got through. They had they went through a wood chipper, but they did end up getting some elements through. But because I was able to communicate with my company commanders, we were able to stop them. So
awesome. The OP4 did tell us, just FYI, when we were out and about, that they thought that you guys were really good at rotating the TOCs.
Oh yeah.
They said they normally can snuff out the TOCs quickly, because they know they know the land, and they know where everybody likes to set up and so forth. And they said that this brigade rotated the TOCs really well.
Right.
Just letting you know.
Well, I mean, one thing about CBR is I think some people might be reticent to move through the woods, but the woods are your friend out here. So if at any point in time we had a choice between going through an open area or going through the rat trails in the wood, we took the rat trails in the wood, which is what the OP4 do. That's why they're successful.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think it's a great exercise overall. I wish we had our whole brigade here for it, because there's 2 other Combined Arms Battalions that I think if the OP4 had to deal with 3 of me, then instead of just one,
I'll probably use that in the story. I think that's a good quote. Then
it might be a little different. Although we did have a Polish battalion here, at least one more Combined Arms Battalion where they really got to see what it was like to take on an armor brigade combat team at its full potential. Because we're fighting a minus. Our ARS was not all out here. Because as a RAF, one thing that's tough about going to Combined Arms is we have real world missions that have to do with what's the plan to be able to be ready if something were to kick off. So we couldn't bring all of our units here. So a lot of us were at a lower manpower than we normally would be.
One other thing, do you think, based upon what you've seen through your rotation here, Combined Resolve 13, that you could engage these combined forces in a real world engagement against a tough adversary and annihilate them?
I have no doubt. I mean, the dealing with the Polish, the Bulgarians, the Latvians, the Estonians, the Romanians, all the Georgians, all the people that are out here. One of the things that impressed me the most was the professionalism that they displayed, and they weren't here to lose either. They were out here to win. They were out here to learn, and they were out here to operate with us and really practice. And I think that's it. I mean, I think that's the key, because if you're going to have an alliance that is designed to either protect or go on the offense against a near peer adversary, you're going to have to do that. And I think if we did have to take on a near peer adversary here in Europe, I have no doubt that we would crush them.
No doubt that the European theater is in very good hands indeed, as the 2nd Armored Brigade Combat Team, 1st Cavalry Division, it seems, at least held their own out there during Combined Resolve 13. I want to thank you for tuning in. I'm Staff Sergeant Greg Stevens for the Joint Multinational Readiness Center with the 241st Mobile Public Affairs Detachment in Hohenfels, Germany.
Thank you for tuning in to the Joint Multinational Readiness Center Train to Win podcast. Make sure to subscribe to our channel so you can hear about the forefront of training at combat training centers.